All right, guys, 50-year anniversary coming up of the first great sports movie ever made. There's been great sports movies from the olden days. I don't think they've held up. This is the first great modern sports movie, The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I know all the beats. I could have done this podcast blind.
I was going to ask, I know you're really getting into pyramids.
Yeah.
We should do the I Could Do This blind pyramid.
Oh, man. What's your number one?
Heat's too long. Like, I feel like I need
need
notes.
to refresh
I need notes to do Heat. I think I could do Red October blind.
I could do The Matrix blind easy.
I could do 48 Hours and Halloween blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are probably my two.
Okay.
Because those are also pretty short movies. I think it has to be like a 90-minute movie where you can.
I was just about to
bang
say,
out the
like, some of the
beats.
Star Wars movies, I know I could do them, but they're so long.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
they're
think
dense.
I will want to. Yeah.
One of the great things about this movie is it's basically two movies. There's a movie, and then there's just this massive 47-minute football game,
Yeah.
which I've watched I don't know how many times in my life, but I know every beat of the game. I've studied it. I've nitpicked it to death. It's going to be exciting to talk about some of those nitpicks with you guys. But this movie was on all the time. It was always the edited for cable version. And then there was a weird pan and scan thing because of the way they shot it. So it was hard to follow for a while. And then when the TVs got bigger, the movie came back to life with DVD and Blu-ray. But what's the first thing that jumps out for you, CR?
I think probably Burt Reynolds is the thing that you take away from this. And like, I think for people probably a little younger than me, Burt Reynolds is like a caricature who kind of has this revival with Boogie Nights, but for the most part is this like kind of winking, faded star. But this is like this is Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
This is watching like a full-fledged movie star in like entering his prime.
Kind of like the same thing, Burt. Like, when I'm getting older and I'm starting to like pay attention to stuff, Burt Reynolds is in his like Lonnie Anderson era.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're watching him like that as an older star in between having been this gigantic movie star and going to be the elder statesman that he would be. And when you see him in this, he's so young, he's so virile, he's so funny. You're like, oh my God, this guy was a big, huge deal. And it like opens you up to what a big, huge film star he was like in the 60s and the 70s.
Like a
Maybe the
5-tool
70s.
guy where you're like, man, you can do comedy and you can convincingly play football and it can seem like all the guys like you and all the women want to be with you. Like this is pretty wild.
And he was on The Tonight Show a lot, and he was one of the great Tonight Show guests. When The Tonight Show, you'd have 20, 25 million people watching The Tonight Show on a Tuesday night. And he was always one of the best guests. And then he just started, once he hit that Smoking the Bandit phase, he's just putting out 2 movies a year, and there weren't even really premises.
Yeah.
Cannonball Run is barely a movie. He's just driving cross country,
With a bunch of famous
cracking
people in it.
jokes.
Yeah.
I saw all those movies in the theater, Starting Over, The End, Paternity, Smoking the Bandit 1 and 2, like on and on and on. But we did Deliverance a while ago. And that was the one that put him on the map as a star. This was the movie, I think, that cemented it. You watched White Lightning on Tubi?
Yeah, I was just like messing
Year
around.
before this?
Doing a Burt Reynolds run on Tubi, that and Gator, a couple of the other like kind of B movies that he's hamming it up in from the 70s. Yeah. They're all actually pretty entertaining though, man.
When you were on Tubi, did you watch a movie called The Rapper That Got Shot in the Foot?
No. Was Burt Reynolds in that?
He wasn't. It's
Dom DeLuise was that.
It's a Tubi telling of the Meg Thee Stallion versus Tory Lane situation.
Using their names?
That's on Tubi?
It's called The Rapper That Got Shot in the
That
Foot.
sounds amazing.
Do you think we should start a pod called What's on Tubi?
You guys, because to know that you watch something on Tubi is such a ringing endorsement for Tubi itself.
I
watch
told Chris
Tubi
this,
a lot.
and I said this, you didn't even respond. I watched Coffee with Pam Grier on Tubi on Friday.
Yeah.
And then it recommended all these ones in the bottom if you like coffee, and it was like just 7 movies I wanted to watch. I'm like, I'll be back, Tubi.
Yeah.
Don't count me out.
Tubi's got a lot of my spaghetti westerns too, where I'm just like, oh, there's another spaghetti western I haven't seen. I'm gonna watch this guy like.
Well, because I watched Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
And
were you scouting it or did you just come up?
Combo, but then Linda Haynes is so good, and I was like, "What else is she in?" I was looking at her IMDb, and she was like, "She's in Coffee," and all of a sudden, I'm watching Coffee on Tubi.
That's a hell of a movie right there, my friend.
It's a what's age the worst.
That's a hell of a movie.
Yeah.
Stars Black. I saw it when I was.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a movie right there, my friend.
Anyway, back to Burt. There's a stardom from this era. We talked about it with Newman and Slapshot. Redford had it. Burt had it. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to even think of guys from this era who could have done all the things he does.
It's charisma.
Part.
It's the charisma.
It's a charisma, swagger. You can totally believe that this assistant of the warden would give the game tapes to them to have sex with them for 15 minutes. You could believe that he could somehow navigate this prison world and be okay, that he'd be the coolest guy in the prison, that he's a former quarterback, that he could escape from the cops. You just got to pull off somebody. Like, who is this now? It's basically Brad Pitt 10 years ago, but I don't even think it's Brad Pitt.
You know, the thing is that he's acting in the movie, but the charisma is so battering that like every scene you feel like that's actually the guy.
Right.
That part of it, I can't think of anyone who embodies that as much anymore like Burt Reynolds did.
I think Denzel had it in the late 90s, early 2000s. There's, but even that,
but
like, you got to pull off.
Though.
True. He would have been playing the charisma.
There's something about even the construction of scenes from that era, though, too, of what is being asked of the actor, what they have to do. And we talked about this with Slapshot and Goldman talking about like Newman and these guys and how they just didn't need to do much.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there's a scene in Longest Yard we're going to obviously talk about where Newman goes and all the black prisoners are playing basketball. And Newman just basically walks up to the sideline and stands there for 5 minutes and then walks away. Reynolds. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
He literally stands there. The guys say a few things to him. Granny's like, I got this.
He's got a little small smirk on his face.
He's got a little smirk.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm magnetized by what's happening here.
Yeah.
There's nothing is said that doesn't need to be said. And then he walks away and you're like, how is that a gripping scene in a movie? Mm-hmm. And it is. And all movies now would probably work so hard to like explain things or to justify things, or the actor would need to get his home run line before he walked off. Nope. He's just like, I'm just going to stand here. I'm going to fuck off.
Some years ago, TNT did these commercials. And these commercials, when it was TNT, We Know Drama, or maybe it was USA, I can't remember.
TNT.
But they would do these commercials where they have like these small little snippets with actors, right? Most of the time, it was kind of stupid. But there was one with Patrick Stewart where Patrick Stewart goes like, screen presence like can't be taught. Like you go to acting school to learn how to mimic it, to like pass it off, but it can't really be taught. There's one scene in here with the Native American guy.
Sonny,
where he says, don't make an ethnic joke. And then when the guy says, how? Burt Reynolds literally just gives you 30% of a smile.
Yeah.
And it's hysterical. He's just a movie star.
Yeah, he thinks about it and he's like, we'll work on it.
Yeah. Like he's just hysterical. He's a movie star. And in that same way, he can be funny. He can be the hero. He can be the sex symbol. He can be all of that. That type of 5-tool player
but he
is
had
the movie star.
a whiff of darkness to him that I always think that came from real life too. I mean, there's some tough Burt Reynolds stuff, but which I think is the difference in him and somebody like Clooney. Where if you remade The Longest Yard with Clooney at his like charisma peak in like the late 90s.
The Longest Yard, yeah.
Well, but you know what I mean. I like Clooney. You wouldn't buy in the scene in the beginning, which is a pretty horrible scene with the girl.
That's disgusting. Yeah,
but Burt, you're like,
but Clooney's also very serious. Like Clooney's popping up. There's a difference, but there's an actor that wants to drink brandy and be taken as a guy who kind of just wants to be out there as just a dude freewheeling. And then at a certain point, just to be honest with you, there was a self-importance that most of these guys had to have. Like Clooney breaks the movie and then he goes to Darfur and stuff. And it changes the way you look at him a little bit. And you don't expect Clooney
that's a good point.
But you know how you like also hear stories about guys from that era up through Harrison Ford where it's like, acting is like this thing they fell into and it's like the 5th or 6th thing they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Whereas like
Burt was like a failed college football player.
A lot of performers today, you're like, I can tell this is the thing that you have wanted for your whole life. And like you are going to do everything you can to keep your grip on it. Like when you watch Bradley Cooper, I like a lot of Bradley Cooper movies, but like he looks like he's holding the wheel really tight, right? In his movies and in his like interviews and stuff. Burt Reynolds could not give a shit. Burt Reynolds torpedoes more movies than he helps.
Yeah.
Because he's just like put the camera there. I'm going to smile.
Let's make the picture.
I'm going to improv 3 lines and I'm not going to give you what you need. How about that?
Well, that's why it went so badly for him starting in the late 80s, because he was such a charisma actor. But when he got old, then all of a sudden he had that wig.
Yeah.
And he just kind of lost it for 10 years. And then it came back miraculously in Boogie Nights, a movie that he ended up hating.
Because he embraced.
He embraced his age.
Yeah.
But he still had that sparkle to him and that little wink. And, you know, you think about some of the funniest, best scenes in that movie, like him in the hot tub when Dirk's.
But
hey,
I think
I
if
thought
that's
of my name, it's going to be Dirk Diggler. And Burt Reynolds like, but that's a great name.
But if that's the Jack Horner movie, it doesn't work as well.
Right.
If he's got to carry 85% of those scenes.
No, at that stage of his life, he was in. Well, there's another piece with him. First of all, Adam Sandler remakes this movie, and I, as you guys know, I'm a huge Adam Sandler fan. Bert's funnier than Adam Sandler, who's like one of the best movie comedians of the past 50 years. The quarterback piece with Bert, I think he's the most believable sports movie
QB
actor that we've had.
Ever?
Of any like real actor who got thrown into a movie like this, I think he's the most convincing. I think he's the
That's
best.
interesting.
Wesley Snipes?
No.
Dwayne from Above the Rim, he was a real basketball player.
I'm talking about stars.
Oh, star, because there are a lot of other guys.
Really, the competition would probably be Costner, who seemed really comfortable playing baseball, especially in For Love of the Game.
Yeah.
When
Costner's taking like batting practice in Bull Durham, like
but like even like when he's trying to throw a no hitter in For Love of the Game, it's pretty convincing. I thought Denzel was good in the basketball scenes, and he got game. But Bert really feels like you could just plug him into like the WFL that year, and he could have like maybe gone 8-6.
I don't want to get ahead of us, but the reason that you can do a 47-minute football game in a movie is because it looks like all those guys are playing football,
which they were.
Burt Reynolds in that last scene, you're like, damn, that's Burt Reynolds, like running an option.
He's an actual football player as well. So that, and he not just like Hov has this line where he says, "I walk like a ball player," and you kind of know what he means when you have the swagger and the body control and all of that stuff. Yeah, and he carries himself. He looks like an athlete, like a functional athlete, and
he had a gun. Like there's at least one. What's he throw like a 50-yard touchdown in the first half?
Yeah.
And it's Burt Reynolds, and he's throwing it, and it's a 55-yard Drake May rope.
Right.
That's how I work Drake May.
Drake May, you're so
it's my new hero. But he reminded me of Drake May in that scene.
But But it's obvious, and that's the one thing. It's obvious when an actor got with some specialist and learned how to dribble a ball or throw a ball or do something 6 months before the movie started. You know?
Yeah.
And when you've been doing it, and there's muscle memory, and you know how to run and turn and do all of that stuff, it's like you can't fake that.
It's like Chris when you see him on the court. You just know.
Chris, you who?
Not anymore. That's its 9th grade.
Reynolds, it's funny, we did Newman and Slapshot 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And from an A+ lister charisma standpoint, this is on par with that.
For sure.
But then you throw in the athletic part. It's way up there. For me, it's I think the best athletic performance by a real famous actor in a sports movie. I would put it against anything. The premise of this movie is pretty amazing too. I'll describe it like this. Disgraced QB gets sent to prison. The warden forces him to organize a game between the convicts and the guards. And the QB ultimately finds redemption by not selling out for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
It's fucking strong, man. Mm-hmm. That's one of those where you're like, boom, let's make it. Get the cameras.
Yeah.
Go.
And I love it when a movie's premise makes the film basically sap-proof or sentimentality proof. Like, it's too dark for this to be a feel-good movie, but it feels awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, like, because it starts from a really dark place. He almost sells, like, guys get hurt, people die. Like, it's a dark movie, but you come out of this and you're like, yeah, man, this is how I think people feel when they watch Miracle. Mm-hmm. You know, like, that's how I feel when the Mean Machine wins.
You know, I watched the remake as well. I know we're probably not going to spend too much time on it, but the reason why it doesn't really work, it's fun, but the reason why it doesn't really work is because it's not edgy enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't take itself seriously enough.
Yeah.
if not for Burt Reynolds' performance in this movie is a fucking drag. Like, you have this guy who's thrown his life away twice. He threw it away again, and then he gets it back, but he's got to be in jail. He's getting abused. He's really at the end of his rope, and this game kind of helps him find himself a little bit. But if not for someone who is not taking the whole thing that seriously and is joking the whole time and with like a wink and a nod, the movie is actually very, very serious.
Yeah.
So, from a big picture, because it's turned into 70s sports movie month, Chris.
Okay.
Because we've done Slapshot and we've done Breaking Away, and now we're doing Longest Yard. No, just to put in perspective all the sports movies that led up to this, it was a lot of boxing movies, it was a lot of baseball movies, it was a lot of autobiographical movies, and they were all done a certain way. And
what's the Lou Gehrig movie is probably the biggest one, right?
Yeah, and Bang the Drum Slowly, Brian's Song, Fear Strikes Out.
Brian's Song is before this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know why.
A shitload of different boxing movies. I mean, there's a million of them. But this movie was a real movie that happened to be about sports.
Yeah.
It tried to be funny, which no sports movie had ever been like, oh, let's also try to be funny as we're doing this.
It's got a real fucking director, too, Robert Aldrich.
It's got a real director.
Yeah.
And it's got realistic sports. And so it was groundbreaking in all these different ways that I think got copied immediately.
Yeah.
Because after this, you have Rocky, you even have like Rollerball, but you have all those basketball movies that come after that. You have Slapshot. It made it a serious event to do a sports movie like this and be like, all right, if we're going to do this, we have to do this, this, and this. It has to look right. And I think when you think about how long the football game is, it's kind of insane. Like, nobody would have.
Oh my God.
It's literally
half the
47
film.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody would ever do it that way now, but that's how they approached it. And some of the stuff Aldrich does with like the
split screen.
The split screen multi-screen.
I was going to
stuff
ask you
is
this.
So cool.
I don't know enough about the history of sports broadcasting. Like, does he invent that idea of showing a game in that way? Like,
I don't know the answer.
It jumped out at me so glaringly when I watched it now. I'm like, is this one of the lasting innovations of this movie? Like, when had that been done
Or
before?
is it an innovation that needs to come back? Because like, like you think like when somebody's going to win the NBA Finals and they'll just show one thing, they'll go to the night. Like, maybe we should just have 4 pictures in the box like that.
I mean, like, I think that there's... They'll do split screen on NFL games to be like, here's 2 angles at the same time, basically, and stuff like that. But using it as a narrative device to build drama, and also, I mean, it's literally like my What's Age the Best, and my favorite part of this movie is like all the commentary that he's doing subtly by juxtaposing different images together, storytelling that he's doing that he doesn't have to cut away to do a whole other scene with the warden because he can have him in the right-hand lower box being like, oh shit, they're trying again. Like, it's incredible.
And it gives you the feeling and the scope of how many different things are happening in the football game at one time, because the game is essentially the culmination of all of these different storylines and different characters who have different motivations and wants and needs. Even when the guys get sit back and they're injured, all of this, so many storylines that are going on in a football game, and the game manages to capture all of them.
Well, so it has that. It also has like some of the funny stuff in this movie. I mean, this movie's just genuinely funny.
This is one of the most
it's hilarious.
quoted movies that my parents showed me this movie way too young.
Yeah.
It was one of their favorite movies. And if I ever would fall down or like come back from practice with an injury, my dad would literally go, I think he broke his fucking neck.
Right.
Like, it was...
I told you I broke his fucking neck.
Broke his fucking neck.
There's a whole scene about them showing people how to throw illegal elbows and here are the brass knuckles. And I don't know. It's just great. There's also slow motion at the end, which I think was pretty revolutionary for the time.
I think he's taking a lot from Peckinpah and stuff like that, where he's using a lot of those techniques, but I don't remember seeing it for a sports movie before that.
But I automatically started to see other films that I saw. Like when that slow-mo happens at the end, I start thinking of like School Ties.
Yeah.
The scene where...
Oh, yeah, this movie gets ripped off by everybody.
Yeah, I literally start to think, oh, that's the same shot. He literally points, and then he gets the block, and he scores. It's exactly the way David Green scores with fucked up
It's got
Matt Damon.
It's got the big speech at the end, which has been ripped off ever since. They did the thing where they try to make it seem like a real game. And they really staged it out. And they only had a couple choreographed plays. Otherwise, it was some freelance stuff. And Reynolds was just getting hammered at the quarterback. Like, they're fine with it. I guess they were fine with the insurance piece of it.
There's also the funny joke where he's just like, the most important thing is that I get protected, you know,
Right.
like, which is actually probably also true for the set of the movie. You know?
Can't do anything without me.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Number one rule, protect the quarterback.
I would be curious to know whether or not like Aldrich had seen and what early NFL films is like. Because NFL films, I think, comes along in the 60s.
We have
right?
7
Yeah.
Super Bowls at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I wonder whether or not there's any influence on the way Sable did stuff over there.
You know what's funny? Like, you would think more movies would rip off how they shoot the sports, where a lot of it's wide. You always know what's going on. You always know where you are. You always know what the score is, and you can see the plays unfolding, and everything seems real. And then by the time we get to Any Given Sunday, it's a lot of like,
I think
the
they're
action,
compensating for the
cheap
fact that they
cuts.
can't. Dennis Quaid can't be out there. You know what I mean? Like they have
Yeah,
to
maybe. They
have
have to
him
be more
take 3
careful.
steps back, cut away, stunt double, cut away.
Yeah.
You know.
Great characters in this movie. I mean, just some icons. Caretaker,
Caretaker, man.
Nate Scarborough, Granny, the warden's sidekick,
I mean, down to Unger, down
Unger.
to
Unger.
Bernadette Peters as the horny secretary. Just goes on and on. Who's your favorite of all the side characters?
Oh, caretaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome character. Awesome character. Great to have the audience member who's going to be like asking the question, like why'd you throw that game? Great narrator of the movie. So
Good
sad.
vibe to him.
Yeah, great vibe.
Like the guy who's made his peace with his time inside, but yet has found a way to be super viable inside.
Yeah, the jail
where he's
fixer.
an important man, almost like Red from Shawshank
Sure.
Redemption, kind of the same dude, lovable, good-hearted, but I am a convict type of dude. That's wise. Fantastic.
My favorite was
Also,
Granville.
the dad from Teen Wolf. I said this
Yeah.
before. Which when I was a kid and I'm going crazy over Teen Wolf, it was always awesome to see a familiar face. And it's the dad from Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
And he was in a
James
lot of
Hampton
stuff,
was
but
the actor. Yeah.
yeah, every time you saw him, you were like, longest you're a Teen Wolf Dad guy.
Yeah.
I love Granville. I think he has that key moment in the end where he does I never thought you'd sell us out. You know, and it's just like, oh man, now it really hurts.
Yeah.
Now, Granville, he was the only one who went out, right? He didn't care that his whole side wasn't going to be in the team. He's like, you know what? Give me the free food. I want to play football.
Mhm.
And he stuck up for Crew, and then Crew fucking backstabbed him, and
Yeah.
it hurts. It hurts like that he did it to Scarborough and Granville the most.
When
Oh, go ahead.
No, when you watch the movie and he starts to throw the game, you're legitimately destroyed. You're like, fuck, nah, man. They got through so much to get there. It as a narrative thing, like making him throw
Yeah.
the game, it works so well. You're so invested by that point.
He looks like Mac Jones last year. What was that? You threw that guy
Are
by
you
12
shaving
yards.
points? Just be honest.
What are you doing? Did
Yeah.
the warning get to Mac Jones? Only one Oscar nomination for Best Film Editing. As we've discussed in previous pods, the 1974 Best Actor, which had Al Pacino in Godfather Part 2, one of the greatest
Probably.
act performances
I
of all
got to
time.
give Pacino the nod over Reynolds. there.
Pacino
Yeah.
didn't win. Nicholson didn't win for Chinatown. And Dustin Hoffman got nominated for Lenny. Art Carney won for Harry and Tonto.
Unbelievable.
And Albert Finney.
Unbelievable.
It's so
Every
rough.
time you say it, it hits me again.
And Albert Finney got nominated for Murder of the Orient Express.
Like Chris legitimately discussed it when he said that.
It's so bad. The
It's
Pacino thing
three
is
and
so
four of
bad.
the best performances of the decade, if not of all time. And it's like, yeah, let's give Art Carney an Oscar.
It's almost like it split the vote. I could have snuck Reynolds into the Finney spot. $2.9 million budget, made $43 million.
Massive hit for the time.
No
Ridiculous.
Raj on this one.
Nope, Siskel though. Siskel loved it.
Siskel liked it. Pauline Kael loved it.
That's our girl.
She said, quote, Reynolds is perfect in this brutal comic fantasy about a football game between crazily ruthless convicts and crazily ruthless guards. For all its bone-crunching collisions, the picture is almost irresistibly good-natured and funny. I agree, Pauline. Good job. All right, most rewatchable scene. I really like the car chase and the arrest. It's a great car chase, especially in that
Harbinger
Maserati.
for car chases to come with Reynolds. Yeah,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I have a take on that later, but when he ends up at the bar, why'd you dump the car in the bay. It's like, I couldn't find a good car wash.
Yeah.
He does the Burt Reynolds laugh. It's just, but I mean, like, it feels like real life people are in danger during the car race. Like there's pedestrians who are like jumping out of the way, and I don't even know if there are extras.
The car chase, because you got to send this guy to jail, right?
Yeah.
And so
it has to be pretty lit.
to be pretty lit because you have to look how reckless and he looks different. He's got the longer hair. He's wearing the same. He's been abusive in the whole nine. They really do a good job of saying this is somebody who needed to go.
He's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He needed to go sit down for 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, in What Stage the Worst, obviously, is the domestic violence at the beginning, which is such a crazy way to start a movie. But it's also this gamble that pays off because it's like, this guy is like legitimately a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And within 20 minutes, you're rooting for him to be
It's
like, yeah, let's get the football game together.
It's not unlike the model that Aldrich used in The Dirty Dozen, where it's like you basically are going to give redemption to the irredeemable. You know, like you're going to take prisoners, you're going to have them basically be like, yeah, I did this, I did that, and then give them something that will give them their grace.
I mean, it is a common theme of movies that we like, though, is somebody's a piece of shit, and then they eventually stop becoming a piece of shit and become our hero for the movie. So, yeah. The warden meets Paul Crew. Paul Crew, the wrecking crew. I just like all the histrionics in this scene, and all the chess that's going on. But we get the Ruffalo Hand and Rubinick Partridge overacting word early with Warden Hayes.
Yeah, Warden Hayes won that easy.
I want you to make that son of a bitch enthusiastic. He's just Eddie Albert just dialing it up. That's a good one. I like the push-up guy trying to fuck with Paul Crew,
Rocco,
and they have the pouring the dirt. It's got the little guitar twang in the background.
Mm-hmm.
The swamp reclamation is such a great location for that too.
By the way, that should be the worst part of the movie by far, and somehow it's not.
Yeah.
It's like 10 minutes that should just not work, and it completely works for some reason. The warden bullies Crew into starting a team. His story. I read you like a book, Mr. Crew. He's just like fucking with them, and Bert knows he has it by the balls. First football practice is great. The scene in the library when the guards try to fuck with Granville is just really good. Like that actor, Harry Caesar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The way he handles it, and then the other guys watching him, and you're like, oh, they're all going to want to be in the team now because they're watching. It's like it backfires. The how to injure the other team seminar, into caretaker drinking with Crew. Why'd you shave them points? And then Bert has his Oscar speech.
Yeah.
I never gave a shit about football. Which I think was a full of shit speech, right?
I mean, it's two full of shit speeches because his parents weren't blind. He does the joke story first.
But there's some sort of truth in there that we're supposed to take something from.
I like that it's never like a straight up,
explained.
like I'm pouring my heart out here.
Yeah. Then we get to the game, the first half of the game. Yeah, I think I broke his fucking neck. There's a lot of good beats. We get the wardens chilling. If you don't lose by 21 points, I'm pinning caretaker's death on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. We get Crew tanking the second half. 2 pick sixes and a fumbled handoff.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had Saints quarterbacks do worse than that.
Jesus Christ.
That's like a fucking mid-October Saints game.
That's Derek Carr special.
Yeah.
Derek Carr special. I can think of so many guys I could throw under the bus right now. It's very, very triggering.
I like when he sits on the bench and the people move.
Yeah.
That's brutal. Yeah.
It's like the all-time folk. Like,
all-time,
just like,
yeah.
I don't want to be fucking near you.
They know he's selling them out, then he fakes the injury, the whole nine.
I put my trust in you. I didn't think you'd sell us out. We get that. And then we get, he's looking around. Guys are getting injured. He goes to Pop.
Was it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
You slugged the warden in the mouth. Was it worth it? For me, it was. Well, give me my goddamn helmet.
I got obviously a nit to pick with that.
We're going to, there's a bunch of picks.
Right.
And then the big comeback. Nate has the big touchdown and immediately gets crippled by a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Paul, you got to do it. We get a reverse touchdown. We get Crew just kills Badansky, just throws the football against his balls multiple times.
Just unbelievable.
Love it.
We get a long pass for the 4th and 42 first down where he pushes off, which I think is, it's a Drew Pearson, like a year before the Drew Pearson play. We get the tackle eligible for first and goal. 40 seconds
It's
left.
crew manipulating the rules, just like
Cruz,
Belichick.
Cruz Belichicking it up. Then we get 3 stops. And what's cool is you know where you are in the game the whole time. Now it's 4th down, 7 seconds left. Cruz, torn jerseys, just walking to the bench. Where's he going?
So awesome.
And then he does the speech. And it's one of the great speeches ever. We'll just play it. I'm not going to do it. I like when he goes in 4th down, he quiets the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Really quiet the crowd. Just
machine.
like little things like that is what makes this such a great movie.
But it's so much, like a lot of times when you watch older sports movies, you're watching films about sports that aren't played how they're played today.
Yes.
You can't really recognize the
That's a good
sport
point.
Yeah.
today. And that would in this, everything looks and feels the same. The hushing of the crowd,
Yeah,
the entire it's
Might as well
modern
be in
yeah,
SoFi Stadium.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The winning touchdown is unbelievable. The history.
And the cut, like he breaks the plane and then freeze and then cuts to like 5 different angles of what's going on.
I like when he goes around. There's a great crackback block, the borderline penalty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
got a
penalty.
couple of notes about.
Like,
Borderline penalty.
below the
I don't think
waist.
Jeff Stoutland teaches it that way anymore.
He comes down, he looks, and then they have that shot of him from the end zone as he's like getting his footing to make the run. And then they cut to another part, and he's just like, fuck it. And basically, it seems like he vaults off the guy who's on the ground.
He goes airborne.
Jumps over and rolls in the 3 people, but it's really well done. And then it seems like he's going to get shot and killed, but he doesn't.
The first time I saw the movie, I was certain he was about to be shot.
Yeah,
Because the movie
it's
was
also 1970s movies. It wouldn't be out of the question.
yeah, the movie's like so. In a way, the movie's the game is the hope of the movie, but there's a lot about the movie that's fucked up. Somebody's already been killed that you really loved, and all of these guys are in jail. And even when he's going through the thing, talking about who's playing in the game, just talking about. So I'm like, oh, they're gonna shoot him, and then the movie's gonna end like that. And even when I saw the remake, I was like, oh, did they change it and kill the guy? But
Nah.
get the ball and comes back.
Game ball.
Game ball.
Stick this in your trophy case as the last line of a movie is amazing. The warden just sitting down with the football. I would say for most rewatchable, basically from the moment the warden says you're going to throw this game
To the
I want
second
20
half.
all the way through. I don't
Yeah.
even know how you separate anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely listen to an argument for the last 45 minutes of this movie being the most rewatchable scene, because if the game is on, when this is on cable, if the game has started, I am like,
Which is the whole premise of this podcast.
Yeah.
If you're flipping channels and he's in the shower with the warden,
if the
and the
citrus
warden's like,
state-
I want a 21-point spread, I'm like, well, fuck.
We're done.
This next 25 minutes of my
Yeah.
my
And I
night.
was worried about that. I was worried about when I watched the movie again, because I hadn't seen it in a while. I was worried about, am I going to be interested? The game is so good.
Yeah.
I was worried, am I going to give a fuck about everything leading up to the game? And I did, but the game is still so good. I would almost take individual parts of the game. My favorite part of the game is when he turns into fucking Michael Vick to get the guys back on
yeah.
the
Yeah,
When he's like, I'll take the punishment.
Right. I
Yeah.
just got to run and gain every single yard.
He's
And
doing the Cam Newton QB draws.
Yeah.
exactly the whole
Yeah.
thing. But once you get to that point, you have to finish it out.
It's
amazing.
like, I think that the game is the most rewatchable scene, and if pretty much any point in the game, you know, if you flip to the channel and the game is on, you're like, I'm watching the rest of this.
Right.
My favorite parts of the game are actually the huddles,
Oh yeah.
because I think you could actually take all the huddles and clip them together, and it's the story of the game
Yeah.
based on their like, fuck, these guys are really kicking our asses, or like, hey, we're kicking their asses, to like, goddamn, fuck you, crew, and then now
Yeah.
we believe in you again.
Mhm.
And that goes to your point about like when he walks back over to the sideline and they're like, what's crew doing? What's he doing?
So great. My son came down halfway through the movie. So he was studying for a history exam.
Oh, Ben,
He
hit
took
the
a break.
books.
Ben, look at Ben.
And it's final exam week. And he's like, oh, what do you watch? I'm like, Longest Yard. And he'd only seen some of the Sandler run.
Uh-huh.
So he was like taking a break. So he started watching it. And he stayed for the last hour. And as you know, Ben will just immediately leave, or anything that's old, he's out. He watched the whole thing, and a couple times he was like, Dad, this is good. Just give me a couple of those. And then the winning touchdown, he was like, Dad, that was good.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
He was really into it. I was psyched.
They still in school. It's June 3rd.
Yeah.
Fuck
The
they
only
got
other
these
the
kids
only
doing?
other scene I would throw into rewatchable scenes is the how to inflict pain montage, of them going through and like, here's this guy's femur, and like.
Well, we haven't even talked. The movie has a great training montage, by the way, where they're giving everybody the scores.
Yes.
And it's a 7 and it's a 10 is the agility score. Like even that.
Yeah, when Samson knocks the heavy bag
the whole
off.
heavy bag
He's like,
off.
is that a 10?
The introduction of all this motley crew of characters, and you got that guy was around. What's that actor's name? He was around forever playing a heavy in all of those movies. Like the guy's like fucking
Richard Kiel?
Yeah.
Moonraker,
Yeah.
Jaws.
Yeah, he's been around for a lot. So like
that whole part of the movie is literally just that they do the same scenes in Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
But it's war instead of football.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going around to recruit all the guys. Then he's got it. They're a ragtag bunch when he first starts training them. Then they get really good.
Then they have all these attributes. You have to find a way to get them to work together, the whole nine.
I had that in What Stage the Best. The premises like this where the guy has to recruit the people for his team.
Ocean's 11.
His band, his gang. And it's each one. And it's like, we got to get him. And it's usually our hero with one other person.
See, that's why. See, Bill, you like stuff like that?
Yeah.
I got a movie for you, Bill.
Avengers
The
Endgame?
Avengers. Like, I got you like that? You like people being recruited to go do something important? I got
maybe
a
this
movie
summer.
for you. Yeah,
could be this
thank
summer
you,
for me.
please.
What's age the best? Sports movies with giant stars as the leads? Just missed this era. We don't really have giant stars like this anymore. CR, this one's for you. An opening shot of a 70s movie that's an ashtray with 11 smoked cigarettes in it.
That is what she
and a radio telecast of a college football game. I'm pretty sure you're in from that point on.
This is
that
coming
a
out,
Tubi category for you?
This is coming out a couple of weeks later, but the Women's US Open golf tournament was this weekend. Did you see I think she's British, the British lady who smokes heaters on the course?
I did not see that.
Charlie Hull. And she smokes cigs
That's
on the
allowed.
course.
I didn't know you did.
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm trying to quit vaping is the reason why she's smoking cigarettes. But I was like, this is like...
Yeah, she should be the biggest star in women's golf.
Yeah. She's like my Caitlin Clark. Yeah.
They showed the anniversary of some 84 finals game of Jack Nicholson courtside, and they show him the CBS broadcast before the game. He's courtside having a heater on the court. I was like, the 80s were the best. I have more What's Age the Best, but what do you have?
The split screen. I think actually like it's something that in other people's hands, or it's very easy to imagine a way in which like that somehow like takes you out of it, and it doesn't. It actually is like so cool to get, and I think maybe more movies should do this. 55 minutes into the movie or an hour into the movie, and then a whole new way of seeing the movie starts happening. Because you feel yourself snap to attention, like, whoa, we're gonna make this is what this is gonna. They're gonna shoot it like this. This is awesome. So I like really responded to that.
That's why I do feel like sports television could add that. I think they could add that with football and basketball because we have. The
it's just probably so hard to direct live.
Yeah, because you got to be throwing back to the truck and all that.
Let's test
stuff.
ourselves a little bit. You have any What's Age the Best fan?
The car chase. Like when I watched the car chase, I'm like, yo. It seemed like and obviously the 70s is filled with, is the 70s the best?
Yeah, it's car chase. It's car chase Apex
decade?
Mountain.
Yeah. So it's filled with, but when I look at the car chase, that feels like the car chases that I grew up on.
Well, you know what it is?
Modern,
I have a theory on this.
What?
Because the cars weren't as good. Even though they were expensive and fancy, the cars would spin a certain way where they would skid longer.
Yeah.
I think now the cars, like, it's just the driving and the precision is too good to them.
So that's her Maserati?
Yeah. It's like a 73 Maserati. And every time every time he's banking this turn, it's like skidding, but never like rolls over.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think it's the skids. Speaking of that from the beginning, so his angry girlfriend at the beginning is Anitra Ford. Everybody's bought you. Anitra Ford. She has that mid-70s kind of hot look that I just don't know why that went away.
Hold on.
You know what I mean?
Her name is Anitra?
Anitra Ford.
She down with the Community?
I don't know.
Was she on Price is Right? Is that like one of the biographical things I saw about her?
Because all the girls in Rollerball are incredible. It's like, I don't know. It's just quite an era.
They're built different.
The multi-picture opening for the game CR mentioned. Ed Lauter? Lauter or Lauter?
Knauer?
Yeah. Captain Knauer?
Yeah.
Ed Lauter, I think
Such a familiar face. Great career.
Here's his sports movie resume. Longest Yard, Jericho Mile, Youngblood, Gleam in the Cube, and he was in School Ties. Pretty good.
Gleam in the Cube. Seminal Van Lathan movie.
Important
Slater?
movie.
Slater
Yeah.
in there, young Tony Hawk in there,
It's a good one.
using skateboarding to solve
Maybe we should
crimes.
do
It's on the list.
Slater month where we do Gleam in the Cube, Legend of Billie Jean, and the re-pumping up of the volume.
The repump.
Oh, you guys did pump up the volume already?
I think we got pump up the
Happy
volume
Harry
like,
Hard on?
revived as a rental. Like
Yeah,
you can now,
it's one of the biggest successes in the history of the rewatchables. We did pump up the volume partly because it was not available on any streaming service.
and then it was like
And
I
a
think-
month later, Amazon had it, and we were like, "We've done it, guys."
Yeah.
Quick
because
question.
it invented podcasting.
Quick question will come back. Is there any argument to be made that Heather should be included in a Slater?
Yes,
Yeah.
Heather
Yeah.
should be the fourth one.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really talk me into Broken Arrow pretty quickly.
You know, can I be honest with you?
I like Broken
It's
Arrow.
over fucking hated movie. What the fuck?
Broken
Like,
Arrow's solid.
It's legitimately a good
Yeah.
movie. Now it's kind of the premise is kind of, but it's like a legitimately good movie. It's when Travolta was in his little thing. Slater's still
Yeah.
coming up. It's
Sam Mathis back
Sam
at
Mathis,
it. Yeah.
the whole nine.
One of my passionate passions, how about that, is
Passionate Passion Pyramid. Yeah.
post Pulp Fiction Travolta has an amazing run.
He
I
does.
even like Domestic Disturbance.
Yeah.
Shoot me.
And then, but
That's a good movie.
He's taking a lot of roles. He's figuring it out. But there's some gems in
Face
there.
Off, Domestic Disturbance, General's Daughter,
Get Shorty.
Broken Arrow, Get Shorty. Like he's ripping them for
Yeah.
6-7
What
years.
was the movie where he was the angel? Did you
Oh,
see
that's
that one?
Michael.
Michael.
Yeah.
That's not.
That-
I didn't
Powder
mind
and all that.
Phenomenon.
Oh, I love that movie.
Well, not Powder. Phenomenon.
Like
I
Phenomenon.
like that. I love that movie. He gets hit with the whole thing, and then
Phenomenon has Travolta telling Kira Sedgwick, "Will you love me for the rest of my life?"
No.
And she goes, "No,
I love you for the rest of yours.
I'll love you for the rest of mine."
Oh, mine, yeah. He's gonna die.
See, Van and Kalika, they get choked up on a Friday night watching Phenomenon. Couple more would say the best. Michael Conrad eventually becoming the Let's Be Careful Out There guy in Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
A seminal TV character.
Can I throw a What's Age the Best that is adjacent to the production of the game within the movie?
Yeah.
Just introducing the announcer, Michael Fox.
I think first time we had an announcer as a sports movie crutch, and it worked probably the best.
Genius.
Yeah.
And then like obviously like is all the way down through Dodgeball. Like they
Yeah.
always bring an announcer in, but
Well,
he-
it goes sideways with the remake because they have Chris Berman as the
Yeah.
announcer.
They
and
bring
it
in-
could not be more annoying.
That's where the remake fucks up. The
Yeah.
remake stops taking itself seriously, and it becomes cameo porn,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like a real movie.
Cameo porn's a good way to put
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
It's like what happened to Entourage. What's age the best? Bert's gray leisure suit in the first scene we didn't really go into.
Yeah. So what's the deal? Is he like a kept man of a rich woman in West Palm Beach? Is that
He's like a stud
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, because at first you feel like, well, he's an XQB, so all that stuff is his. But you see all the pictures of her. It's her whole thing. She's keeping him around as
She's
like
clearly like a multi-married, probably like 3 husbands, all rich, set up in West Palm Beach, and now she's with Bert. Bert's like the stud horse. What's age the best? Caretaker can get steroids, vitamins, and greenies in 1974.
Yeah, he's on it.
Was he patient zero to the steroids era?
He's on his shit.
That's what's so funny about steroids when people think it
And
started
he
with
could get
like
you
Barry
sex with
Bonds.
a woman. Yeah.
Sex with a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Sex with a woman. What's age the best? Aldridge deliberately shot the film as wide as humanly possible with the multi-picture stuff so that it wouldn't go on TV.
yeah.
It's like, I want this to be a film enjoyed in theaters. This is a what's age the best and a what's made me sad, but Caretaker's murder is such a great twist, but it's such a bummer.
It really
But
takes
it's
the fucking
such
air
like
out
a
of it.
fucking wind out of the sailsers.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's really smart.
Unger
it's
is
smart
such a
movie move.
fucker in this movie,
Oh, man.
and it's so I forget every time. And then like when he's just like, "I could be your friend," and you're just like, "Man, this guy's weird."
He's like the guy in Shawshank.
Yeah,
The movie
I could be a friend
The
to you.
movie never gets so lighthearted where you forget that these guys are in prison.
And in danger.
Yeah.
So, what's age the best? Just this decision. Initially in the script, Crew was supposed to get shot in the back at the end, and they decided that was a bad idea.
Mm.
And then, what's age the best? Just Burt being one of the crankiest assholes in the history of Hollywood. He did an interview about this movie in like the mid 2010s, and they asked him about the Longest Yard remake, and he said, "I never saw it. It was a paycheck, and that was it. I never wanted to see it." He just was like pissing all over it.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds, legendary crank. What you got for Great Shot Gordo, CR?
I think it's the crossing the plane of the goal line and then the split away. So
I agree.
Maybe even like great editing Eddie or whatever. Yeah.
Denethys Benihana Award for scene still in location. The football stadium's magnificent.
Yes.
It is.
It's so good. It's
It
perfect
looks-
size.
It's the perfect size. It looks really good. They do a good job of setting the actual tone of a football game. And like when you're in it, they're rooting for the mean machine. They hate the guards. The whole prison establishment is the bad idea. Like you really want the mean machine to win because of the atmosphere of the game.
In Florida, where do you think it is? Like, where do you think it's like in the panhandle somewhere?
I think it's in like a pretty rough part of Florida.
Because I was trying to imagine
40 miles outside of Jacksonville.
like, hey, what are you doing on Saturday? What's that?
I'm trying. It's not a real prison.
They shot it in Georgia.
They shot it in Georgia.
That's probably where they. Yeah, but where do you think it's supposed to be in Florida?
Well, I was just like trying to imagine like being in Florida and be like, hey man, you gonna go to the beach this weekend? It's like, no, I'm gonna go see.
No, the Cubs are playing the guards.
Semi-pro football at a correctional facility. Okay, that's fun too.
I got 3 tickets.
We're gonna go hang out with the Citrus State Cheerios after the game.
There's gonna be 100 armed guards there.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I knew this. There is a Citrus County jail, and it's in Tampa. So maybe it's in Central Florida.
You know,
probably.
They called the cheerleaders. They called them like
Citrus State Cheerios.
Yeah, so maybe that's where it's supposed to be. The Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award, Best Needle Drop. It's never been an easier decision.
That's easy, super easy.
Saturday Night Special.
Yeah.
Just the perfect song.
Boy, that's a good song to listen to while you're driving.
Right.
Leonard Skinner, most important 70s band for movies.
So what
for
would
background music? It would be them or the Stones.
The Stones are way high up there too.
I guess probably the Stones wins.
Wait, okay. This is
Wait,
for
you
movies
mean
in the
really
70s?
going forward
or
and
in the
forward?
70s. In the 70s.
But like being used in 70s films, because I feel like part of it was like when Scorsese made Mean Streets, is he was one of the first people to like really spam pop music.
Yeah,
and
I need to workshop this one more.
Well, I'm trying to think.
But I
because
like where your head is at.
Skinner has a. If you're talking about beyond the 70s as well, then obviously it's the Stones.
Beyond the 70s, yeah, but then Skinner has
Skinner's there though.
It's got Freebird and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, they meet in Gump.
It's huge in Dazed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Allman Brothers feel like another one that's been in a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
Fleetwood Mac too.
Oh, Mac might actually be it.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac's got a lot of stuff.
The Big Kahuna Burger Award for Best Use of Food and Drink. Homemade prison liquor always
Raisin
gets
Jack, dog. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be a homemade liquor guy? Be like just baking
I was thinking about what my professions would be in prison, and I think I would definitely be angling to be the announcer. Like that seems like a great job. I would just be like, "You guys playing pickup? Can I come announce it? Can I come do like?"
What would make you so valuable in prison? Because I also watched Shot Caller recently, which I had never seen.
After the pod?
Which was surprisingly good.
It's awesome.
What the fucking
What's surprising about it? That movie's amazing.
Okay, guys, let's be honest about I have theories about some of Shot Caller was the worst marketed film ever.
Oh, there's no question.
Like when the Shot Caller commercials would come, I would be like, yo, man, what the fuck is this? Like, why would I look at this? So why would I don't want to look at this. And then you watch the movie 10, 15 minutes into the movie, you're like, yo, what the fuck, John Bernthal's in this? Like, this movie's actually fucking good.
Yeah.
But what would you do inside of prison that would make you so valuable that you couldn't be fucked over?
That's what I'm saying. I would be like, I'm gonna do play-by-play for pickup sports.
I don't think that's gonna work.
Then I would be a drug dealer.
You wouldn't be homemade liquor guy?
No, I would be fucking the greenies guy.
I would be the bookie like immediately. I would the first time they're playing basketball, I'm like, hey guys, anybody have any action on this? I'd immediately get the go.
Look, guys, I got action. I got action over here.
I got action.
The thing is that like what happens the first time a dude is like really pissed off that like the Ravens didn't cover? Like
I'd have muscle behind me.
Oh,
okay. I'd be cutting in two of the biggest dudes. Be like, look, I'll cut you in.
Would it be a non-denominational kind of thing, or would you gang up with like one of the racially backed gangs as a bookie?
Oh, I'd have all of them because they'd all have to go through me.
The United Colors of Benetton of muscle. Yeah,
right.
Gambling doesn't see different sides.
That's right.
It's just wins and losses. Everyone's in. It's the way to play it.
Would you offer same game parlays in prison?
boost, parlay boost. Wednesday is my profit boost token.
He'd be fucking dead in like 2 weeks. Some guy wouldn't understand what the fucking $1 million picks is. It would just be like, fuck this, I'm shipping this guy.
He has to get what? He has to get how many rebounds? Oh, he's fucking dead.
It's 10 rebounds and he has to kill a
Can
guy
you
tonight.
imagine Bill the day the Jonte Porter scandal broke in his prison book?
Butch's girlfriend award, weak link in the film. I just feel like Crew could have thought that caretaker's death thing out a little when the warden's threatening him with it. Like, I'm going to pin this on you.
If Crew goes up, this is more
Crew
of a
should have
nitpick.
thought this one out.
But
a
I
little
think
better.
if he goes up to the team and is like, they're going to put caretaker's murder on me, I'm going to be here for decades. We have to lose by 21 or I'm dead. Like, I
or
bet a
have
lot
to
of those,
fake an injury. Or,
I bet a lot of those guys would be like, well, it was a really fun first half. Let's take a knee here.
Not just in this movie, but the why don't you just tell them aspect of, I can think of like a dozen movies where it's like, yo, just say, the warden's a piece of shit. They're going to
Well, it's
believe
also
you.
even for self-preservation, like Crew's gonna get fucked up after this game.
Yeah.
If he
he's
throws the
fucking
game.
over people who are then going to ruin him for the rest of his time in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think just fundamentally, he had an alibi.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows he loves caretaker.
Everybody knows
tried to
Unger's
kill
a
him.
maniac.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
Unger's a serial killer.
Yeah.
I just felt like that wouldn't have scared me, the threat. What's age the worst? We mentioned the domestic violence in the first scene. It's pretty harsh.
It's really
it's like pretty
really
jarring.
bad. Yeah.
And he's so, and just real quick, that's why he does it automatically, so angrily, like, because Burt Reynolds can be a fucking asshole on screen when he wants to be. He just, it was like, oh shit, like right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, no actor is making that choice now.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers me that Bernadette Peters isn't cuter in this movie because I think she's super cute.
She's beautiful, yeah, but in
She's
this
wearing
movie,
this fucking beehive. She just looks like a
Yeah,
crazy
but you
person.
do you ever find spiders in there?
Yeah, I get it. I just feel like they could have had her let her hair down at some point. I feel like, what's age the worst? Crossed with a nitpick is they loop the same shot of the warden just standing up in shock during the game scenes. He does this like 10 times, and I just think he might have filmed it once from 10 angles, and then
There's a
called
couple
it a
of
day.
if you watch this film as much as we have, like they'll show like during the Star Spangled Banner, like before they start playing the national anthem, you can see the guys mouthing the words.
Jaws
to
is
start,
Jaws is singing.
and then the
Yeah.
Star Spangled Banner starts.
And then the only other one I had is they kept remaking this movie. It really upset me when they made this and the remake, because as you know, my rule with remakes is don't remake something that's perfect. And I felt like this movie was perfect. Don't touch it. If you're going to remake it, I have some
problem with
ideas
that
for
is
that later.
they only remake things that are perfect.
Yeah, well, this movie killed when Sandler, I mean, it was one of the biggest movies of his career.
Oh no, yeah, it's like 200 million, like over something like that. Yeah,
and
it
it's
went
on
crazy.
all the time. It
Yeah.
was the one my son knows. It's gotten to the point now where people are like, wait, there was another Longest
Yeah,
Yard. And
that's
that's a
dark.
what's age the worst times
I see.
100.
Yeah, it stole the thunder of the original.
Nobody realizes that this is the Longest Yard.
You know what's funny? That doesn't happen as much as you think it does. To where they remake a movie and then the movie completely undermines the first one. That almost never happens.
Well, also, this movie's 50 years old. But,
Yeah.
you know, like, there's other movies from the 70s. Like, nobody remade, I'm not saying this was as good as Taxi Driver, but there's certain movies that nobody touched. French Connection.
Yeah.
I felt like this should have been a we don't touch this movie. You had any what's age worst?
Using smelling salts for guys who get knocked out on the football field.
Yeah. Let's bring that back. I'm going the other way. This concussion protocol stuff.
If we were live
Derek
tweeting,
Derek
tweeting-
Lively, they should
You're
just
just
put
gonna
the salt
put it
on
and then
him.
Derek Lively
Yeah.
pops up.
Pneumonia capsules.
But if they were live tweeting like the football game in Longest Yard, and people were like, "This isn't normal. These shouldn't be playing. Like he's got a concussion."
Oh, that's a funny idea of people, 2024 people tweeting during this game.
Yeah.
The guards are being so unfair. They just knocked out Nate Scarborough.
The only thing that aged the worst with the football, and it's not like it aged the worst, it's just the one thing that, like, when you're watching the movie, you notice is the wide receivers. It's different back then. Like, flankers are
Flanker,
different.
yeah.
And they don't line up on the line of scrimmage. And they definitely don't get into, like, Justin Jefferson, like, sprinter poses yet. And that's the only thing that throws you off. I guess this is the first football movie to be made in which a receiver's standing at the line of scrimmage, because when football started up through the 60s, they would be like hand on the ground.
Right.
Basically.
What's Asia worse is brass knuckles being brought, foreign objects being brought onto the football field. They teach people how to use brass knuckles in the game itself.
Should that come back?
Maybe. Just being able to
I mean, your coach basically did it with the bounty.
That's not what he did.
Bounty gate.
That's not what he did.
Basically put bounties on people.
He
did.
basically put bounties on people. He put bounties on people. We
Put
had
bounties on
brown
people.
brass knuckles, though. Favre threw the ball away. Threw it to us. We win. Nothing can stop us from that. Take that away.
Was there a better title for this movie?
Mean Machine?
Mean Machine, maybe. Yeah.
I love The Longest
Yes.
Yard and how you don't know why it's called The Longest Yard until the last
And
5
it's got
minutes
the
of
prison
the movie.
yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, we have to do the Van Lathan Award because he's here. The Van Lathan Award, did this movie need more black people?
No.
We're good?
We're good. Well, as a matter of fact, not only that, but I appreciated the fact that this movie.
Are there too many black people in the Longest Yard?
Well, I appreciated this. Look, this movie did two things. Number one, they said that there are not that many brothers in this prison. This is good.
Citrus County.
Citrus County cuts against, commonly held situations. And then also the fact that we're important. They had to have us on the team in order to win. You need the black guys. He had to court us. They had to ask us for our votes, unlike politicians. Expected to just go do it anyway. But he had to actually come to us and give us our community something.
The Can You Dig It Award for most memorable quote. It's got to be the "We've come too far to stop now."
It's good. Can I throw a couple other
Granny.
nominees out there?
Broke his fucking neck is one too.
Yeah, that one's good.
I think I broke his fucking neck. I think that Burt Reynolds saying, "That's why people like to have me around, because I have a sense of humor," essentially explains Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what? He is kind of fun. And I really always crack up at, I think it's Caretaker goes, "That's before he learned karate." But actually, the one I love, actually, I should point out, when the warden is like, "Why is it do you suppose that I can walk through the yard surrounded by hate and in total command?" And Knauer goes, "Because you've got 15 gun turrets all around you that say you can."
Has there ever been a movie where the warden was
a good guy. Brubaker.
Mm.
That's about it. The CR thinks Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford. Hottest take award. I'll go first. Burt Reynolds, greatest car chase driver ever.
Mm.
And it's not even close.
Car chase driver.
Nobody was better in a car chase being chased by somebody than Burt Reynolds. The way he drove the car, the way he looked around, the demeanor that he had, the charisma, the unflappability. He was just the best at it.
Because
I don't
Popeye
even know
Doyle,
who's second.
really flappable. He's getting real angry. He's honking a lot.
You could throw Steve McQueen at me, maybe.
Yeah.
Shit. Steve McQueen was the man in these
But
cars.
Reynolds has just more movies where we just
He's
saw
not,
him.
but you're not saying coolest driver. You're saying best car chase.
Best
guys.
car chase
best.
guy.
Always felt in the safest hands. Like if you're gonna climb in a car with somebody and you're about to be chased, I would want Burt. Because
you got
Ryan
what you got.
Gosling as a backup.
Smoking. You got Smokey. Oh, Drive.
Cannonball Run.
Jesus.
Burt
Cannonball
probably
Run.
spent more time driving in movies than anyone ever, I would say. Do you have a hottest take?
It's not really that hot, but I think that this movie is just as good about being about America as it is about sports.
Mm.
And the idea that basically kind of come from different racial, cultural, economic backgrounds. But the thing that brings us all together is we fucking hate the boss, whoever that is, and we love football.
Whoever the boss is.
Whoever the boss is.
Doesn't matter who
Not
it is.
at this table. I mean,
We're talking about the Swedes.
yeah, or the larger, the man, not you,
True.
Bill.
It's true. So there was a pregnancy in this movie. I didn't see her reach for a condom. That's my hottest take. Like, she's with child.
Bernadette?
Bernadette, yeah. I see her, like, whatever's going on there was a life created inside of the prison. And now
Did they say that in the movie?
No, this is his hot take.
Yeah. It's my
But you should pitch
I was like, did I miss that?
Paul Cruz's
Paul Cruz
illegitimate
Jr.
son
Yeah.
growing up in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And all he has to live like, will Paul Crewe like acknowledge me?
That is
Paul Crewe Jr., so he's going to be in college in like early 90s, like the
Yeah.
program era?
Like Rocket Ismail.
Oh my God! If the program,
Program of Paul Crewe
is a
Jr.?
movie about Paul Crewe Jr.,
Yeah.
that's the type of shit I would do if I ran a studio. I would do the
Just
program.
take old
Like
characters.
obscure
Yeah.
links.
Yeah, I would do the program, right? But the lead character of the program would be Paul Crewe. And it would only be one line.
Yeah.
He's like, why are you, because like in that movie, Schiffer is just angsty as shit for no reason.
Yeah.
He's a Heisman candidate and he's angsty as hell. But why? He'd be angsty because his dad is a
They
convict.
don't want him to find out.
They don't
his
want
dad
him to
was Paul
find
Crewe.
the Paul
Right.
Crewe's whole thing.
It's a great idea. Casting what ifs. James Hampton was supposed to play Unger, but pushed to play caretaker instead.
Yeah.
Smart.
It's good sliding doors.
Yeah.
We had real football stars in this movie, including Joe Kapp, who a longtime quarterback, and Ray Nitschke, who was one of the most famous linebackers
Nitschke's
of the
incredible.
60s.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
He's the ball guy. He plays the guy who gets hit in the balls. Who would be the 2024 equivalents of those guys? I have Kirk Cousins and Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack is a good one.
I don't know if there's
Does
a
it have
better
to be a
middle linebacker.
kind of guy, or it could be any
I was
defensive
just thinking,
player?
I'm just trying to think of to equal the fame of those guys, because Joe Kapp wasn't like Pat Mahomes,
Sure.
but he was pretty famous and QB'd some teams and made the playoffs. He was kind of at that Kirk Cousins level, and then Nitschke was probably better than Khalil Mack, but I don't know who.
Shit.
He played middle linebacker.
Yeah,
Like, I'm trying to think of who would be in a linebacker spot because Nitschke is like he's like a big.
we almost don't have linebackers. The guy on the 49ers, I guess.
Fred Warner.
Fred Warner.
Yeah, Fred Warner is.
You know
Nitschke.
what the problem with it is though? He's too good looking. Like look up Fred Warner right now. That's what I was thinking.
So we
Fred
need like
Warner,
an ugly linebacker.
you need like Nitschke's like a big. He has to be a heavy that you want to see him get hit in the balls. Fred Warner's like a really good looking guy. A lot of linebackers now are kind of pretty boys a little bit.
Yeah. Sonny Sixskiller played the part of the Indian, who apparently was an outstanding quarterback on the University of Washington in the early 1970s, played in the WFL. Best That Guy award. So James Hampton, probably not a that guy, right?
Well, I
He's
mean,
a
I think
ni-
he
he's
is
a-
to 99% of the people
He is-
listening to this. He's like the guy from Hunt for October, the guy from.
See, he is to me, like, but in a room with Sean and Chris, he's not. But like to me, I would say that he is.
Ed Lauter is also not a that guy. He's Ed Lauter, I feel like.
I'll be honest with you.
I
would
thought he was a
consider
that
him-
guy.
I would consider him a that guy.
Yeah.
I feel like Harry Caesar, who played Granville, I never really knew what his name was. I always just see him as Granville.
Okay.
But he's been in a lot of stuff, including Few Good Men.
He's
Rolling
the
Stone
magazine
gathers
guy.
no moss.
Yeah.
He's the newsstand
Luther.
guy. Yeah, Luther.
Yeah.
One of the strangest Sorkin characters.
And the fact that like Caffey is like homies with that guy.
Yeah, for
Hey,
some-
Luther got Sports Illustrated for me.
Is new Hustler in yet?
Can I get a Popular Mechanics Sports Illustrated Hustler?
Unger is probably the winner because I don't even know what that guy's name is, and he's super creepy. And if you saw him in anything, you'd be like, "Hey, that's Unger." A harder category is the Deion
Charles
Waiters
Tyner is
Award.
the actor.
Deion Waiters for the biggest heat check. Bernadette Peters, 2 scenes.
Yeah.
Schachner, I think, qualifies. Richard Kayla's Jaws, probably not. Pop only has a couple scenes. The Warden's sidekick has 1 line.
Yeah.
And then the Citrus State Cheerios, the cheerleaders.
So
cheerleaders,
Michael
yeah.
Fox as the announcer is not Dion.
We can count that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
who I
good.
had.
Let's go with him.
He also wrote his own commentary. Like he wrote the announcing.
Before that's actually a good one. Before that, I had Bernadette Peters because she turns up the heat so much in her second scene. She goes
Yeah.
from being standoffish to fucking the very next time we see her. So I was like, that was the definition of it. But I'll go with the announcer as well.
Okay. Recasting couch, director, or city. Who is Paul Crewe in 2024? Does that person exist? Do we have the actor?
You know,
Could Gosling do it?
that's the guy who jumps out at me. But really, it might be Glenn.
Oh yeah.
Glenn Powell.
Yeah, it might be Glenn.
Our guy.
Glenn is.
I like how you're one name
We're
now.
asking.
It's like
We're
Luca.
asking so much of him. He's remaking The Running Man. You know, he's remaking Twisters. Can he be Schwarzenegger, Paxton, and Burt Reynolds?
Kinda, because you know why? Because
He He's a good athlete.
can
He
also
was
play
good in
sports,
Everybody
Yeah, he can
Wants
play
Him.
sports. So like he is, to me, when I look at it, Gosling is, you think that he could do it, right? But when you look at Glenn Powell, he kind of is he's got the Burt Reynolds thing going for
He
him.
could
right
grow
now.
a really good Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that one.
Manchu.
Tony Romo or Chris Collinsworth for the director's commentary. This feels like a Collinsworth movie to me.
Yeah, but I tried to challenge myself thinking about like Collinsworth not doing the football game. You know, it's like, oh, Mike, Caretaker's the finest raisin jack in the entire joint. that stuff will make your grandkids go blind, Mike. But Romo doing when Ray Nitschke is coming through the line unchecked,
Throwing his balls, ketchup. I was thinking Collinsworth for the split right on two is just working right now. It is just working. They don't know what's hitting them. They're running reverses off split right and two. They're doing anything they want. Half-assed internet research. Albert S. Reddy, the producer, you know him from a little movie called The Godfather. He wrote the story in the late 1960s.
this is who Miles Teller plays in.
Yes.
In what?
This was his story. He got a
Making the
scriptwriter to
Godfather
do.
show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So saw him. Shot on location, Georgia State Prison, with the cooperation of then Governor Jimmy Carter.
I thought that was him. He just died.
Ruddy.
Yeah, Reddy. He
Reddy.
just died like last week or the
Yeah.
week before. Yeah.
This is like old school movie producer shit. Just
Robert
be like, I
Evans
have an
type
idea.
shit. Yeah.
Like,
And they wanted it to be funny, and Aldridge was not a comedy guy. So they did what he called shtick takes, which then eventually became what Judd Apatow and some other people would do. Just like keep the cameras rolling. Hey, Bert, just do some funny stuff. And then 70% of that ended up in there. After the cast and crew left the prison, they left their stuff behind, and the inmates played the troopers, and it didn't go well.
yeah, Rick Tellender wrote a piece about this for Sports Illustrated in the 80s.
66-0 at the half. The convicts were up, and they stopped again. And a lot of troopers got hurt. Sounds like an amazing documentary.
What? They were taking out all of their
Yeah,
shit.
they were
That's
like-
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
man.
Reynolds loved the prisoners and would sit with them during the meal breaks
Yeah.
and hang out with them. And they were telling him, don't do that, but he did it anyway. And then there's this whole thing about how Aldridge didn't like Michael Conrad and called him the Polish princess and just fucked with him the whole shoot and messed with him.
We haven't really talked about Nate yet.
No. You want to do that now?
I have a couple of nitpicks
Okay.
about Nate.
And then when the Maserati got fished out of the water, the producers sold it for $7,000 to somebody
Right,
as
he
the
did.
car in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apex Mountain. Reynolds? I think it's probably Smokey and the Bandit. I mean, that movie was like one of the 5 biggest movies of 1977.
There's like a
There's no plot.
retrospective Apex Mountain where I think you could probably be like, this is it for him.
But it's not for him.
But it's
though.
not.
No.
Yeah, because like this would probably be his most memorable, it's his best thing that he did.
Well, ironically, his 2 most memorable movies after all these years are 3: Deliverance, Longest Yard, and Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
I think those are the first 3 if you're talking about the Burt Reynolds.
But he was you know how they do the movie stars of the list, of the year list?
Yeah.
Like he was number 1 like 5
He took it from
years in a
Clint.
row. Yeah,
Right,
from
he
Clint
took it
Eastwood.
really from this year on. Harry Caesar, sure. Eddie Albert was on Green Acres, and that show was super popular. So I'm
Green
gonna say that.
Acres is where I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I was like, what show was he on? Yeah.
Michael Conrad, It's Hill Street Blues. James Hampton, it's probably Teen Wolf Dad, pretty iconic part.
Yeah. Turns into a wolf. You're like,
yeah.
oh my God.
I mean, I
he's
think
a
that's how
wolf
most
too.
people know him.
Yeah.
Football movies, I think, yeah. I still feel like this is the best football movie. Did you put something above it?
I was actually trying to think of like if anything even comes close.
No, I think it
Like,
definitely is.
What-
Any
what's in
Given
the
Sunday is
conversation?
awesome.
Any Given Sunday.
Rudy is up there, I guess.
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
Varsity Blues.
I have
Friday
a
Night
soft
Lights.
spot for Wildcats.
Friday Night Lights,
yeah.
the movie.
It's much more competitive than I thought it was just at the jump. Like, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to look.
Replacements, right?
I love that movie.
I do like the replacements.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
No, this is the best one. 1974 Maseratis, no question. Saturday Night Special as a movie song?
Yeah.
Is this? It's been in other movies though, right?
I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
And then two good ones for you, CR. Anacott Steel. The Guards played Anacott Steel, but I still think Wall Street is Apex
Street,
Mountain
yeah.
for Anacott Steel.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Special was also in Blue Collar with Harvey Keitel and Yaphet Kotto.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Anacott Steel.
Blue Oyster loves Anacott
Blue
Steel.
Oyster loves Anacott Steel.
Apex Mountain. Horrible West Palm Beach incidents.
No, Mar-a-Lago.
Where did Kraft get his massage?
That was Jupiter, was it not?
That wasn't West Palm Beach?
So was Tom Brady going to walk up to you and be like, stop that shit?
No, Jupiter.
Cut that shit, Simmons.
Jupiter. It was Polk County that I remember because we were trying to.
Okay. So it's still not Apex Mountain for this. Hey, next category, Cruise or Hanks? This is a Cruise movie.
It's a cruise.
Yeah.
I do think that
Cruise
there
is
was
good as I think this would be a fun Cruise movie.
there was a point in their careers, even though it would have Cruise could have played Crew and Hanks could have played Scarborough.
Oh.
You know what I mean? If like he maybe like make Hanks look a little older, you know, but like sometime around League of Their Own sort of thing, he was basically playing Scarborough anyway. Would have been cool.
In the remake, Reynolds played Scarborough and Chris Rock played Caretaker.
Yeah.
I have no comment. Racehorse, rock band, wrestler, fantasy team name.
Mean Machine's an incredible
Machine's great.
racehorse name.
Cruise is Paul Crew is pretty interesting.
He's very short.
That's the only thing I was about to say.
He's like it has to be like a Doug Flutie.
He's a
type.
Doug Flutie type.
Yeah.
Then you have him do the drop kick because it's Doug Flutie.
In All the Right Moves, what's his position?
Cornerback.
Corner.
Good cornerback.
Yeah.
Undersized cornerback. Pick and nits. Well, you guys go. I have a bunch.
We're not. My thing is, we're not. If you're the warden, you don't just pay off the refs here. Like you're trying to fix everything else.
Right.
You're trying to fix. You don't pay the refs off. That's not going to happen.
You would have thought the refs would have been planted the same way I hope they plant the refs for Game 7 of a Celtics Mavs finals.
So my big one was just like, why is like a former New York Giant and a former NFL All-Pro?
Why are they both in
a Florida
weird
prison?
Yeah.
And Nate, like Crew doesn't know Nate's in the prison. Like nobody's like, oh, it's weird you're here because there's another NFL player here the entire time until like midway through training.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
And I just think that like the one thing that I wish they used more is the push-ups guy.
Yeah, he kind of
he has like all these scenes in the swamp, and you're like, this guy must be a major part of this film.
He must have been like difficult or something.
And then he disappears. He's like on the
It's like
sideline.
the guy in the Warriors who just disappears halfway through the movie.
Showing what a good athlete he is the entire time, and then
Yeah.
pretty
They
much
don't even use
after the mud stuffing incident,
should have
you don't
blocked
see
the
him.
field
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would the warden really care about the semi-pro team this much of this random fucking prison? This is
Well-
the highlight of his week.
Interesting. Interesting though, because in Angola State Penitentiary, there's the Crunch Bowl, which is where I'm from, which is it's a big, huge deal amongst the prison, the football. And if there's competition to be had out there, he might, because this is the same premise from Any Given not Any Given Sunday, from with Denzel's joint. The warden cares so much about basketball,
Right.
Well, the governor cares in that place, and the warden facilitates it, I guess. Yeah.
So it's also in early 70s, it's like you're basically finding out about sports scores the next day anyway, right? You're not watching highlights at night. And if you live in Central Florida, I don't know if there's any pro teams in Central Florida in the early 70s. Was like the Bucks there yet? So you're pretty much like, this might be the only game in town. I really care about
Just
this
like all
semi-pro
these
team.
movies we love, the warden's always up to more stuff than just like being some random evil guy who runs the prison.
He's always
It's
trying
like,
to
no, I
figure-
also care about
trying to figure out how to make the prison
Becoming
bigger.
Bear Bryant.
Yeah.
Or like he cares about something else.
It seems to me like when I watch prison documentaries, the warden's like, it's a 9-to-5 job. Then I go home. Like, yeah, somebody died in prison again? Fine.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys tomorrow. Caretaker's murder. Would it work out this perfectly?
I mean, I get
Just
the
inject some stuff in a light bulb. Guy turns it on and he just
flames
becomes,
shooting out of it.
Yeah, he's just on fire.
It's a pretty serious piece of arson that Unger pulls off. I guess 70s wiring.
It just seems like somebody would catch him coming out of somewhere and stick him 5 times, and that's how.
Yeah. Shot caller. It's just like five quick ones.
There's one nitpick I had was that confusing hierarchy for the Mean Machine coaching staff.
Yeah, Scarborough, but really Paul Crew.
Yeah, it's like Nate's the head coach, but then Paul introduces him as like my assistant.
He changes it immediately. He says, "You're the head coach."
It's gonna happen with JJ Redick and LeBron. This is my assistant, JJ. No.
JJ.
I've been my head coach.
One last nitpick. They're from the Chicago Youth Authority, the black inmates.
Yeah, why are they in Florida?
Why are they incarcerated in Central Florida? What happened?
Great question.
Did they round them up?
It's a state prison. It's not a fed, right?
It's not a federal prison. So like, what's the deal?
My son had a nitpick.
Oh,
interesting.
He's listened to a couple rewatchables.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the only content I've ever made that he's consumed.
I bet.
He likes nitpicks. He wanted he didn't understand why they didn't defer when they won the coin toss. I was telling him in 1974, nobody thought that way.
Nobody thought it wasn't like that.
Yeah. Also, I don't think the guards were like, God, this one's really, this game's a real coin toss.
That got a shut up, Ben, for me. Split right on 2 somehow was a QB reverse pass.
Yeah.
Kind of need a couple more words in there.
Yeah,
Split right on 2.
The terminology wasn't.
Like the Philly special was like,
we're
running the Philly special.
We're trying to keep this as straightforward as possible. He says that in the first practice. He's like, we're not going to get into a lot of like advanced.
But if you're running the Philly special, it's not split right on 2.
No. But I don't think they can pack in shanty verbiage to this where they're like Spider 3Y banana, into this, and they're going to know what they're talking about.
Split right on 2 is not complicated enough.
A split right on 2 is just you're calling out the formation and
I got
formation on 2.
I played Madden. I know what it is. Yeah.
And then I have a lot of questions about the comeback. So they're on 35-13 with 11 minutes left. Nate gets a TD to get the onside kick. Quick drive, reverse run TD.
This is my thing.
35-27, 5:04 left. We assume they get a defensive stop. They don't show it.
They don't. They could cut right to them having the ball.
Cut to a drop kick on 4th down from the 33. Now it's 35-30. They get another defensive stop that we don't see.
Almost would have had to have been a turnover at this point.
Either turnover or stop
and
or
these
another
guys
onside.
They haven't used their timeouts because he uses all his timeouts in the last drive. So Knauer isn't even eating clock with like.
Well, so then it goes, it's 35-30. And it's 4th and 21 after he keeps throwing it into the guy's balls.
Which
stops the clock.
Biggest nitpick.
Yeah.
Oh, well, why you
time of the
taking
game?
It? Yeah.
Do that when it's 35-13. 4th and 21, they show the clock. There's 2:40 left. So in this less than 2.5 minutes, they get 2 defensive stops. They run 4 plays for a drop kick, and then he throws the ball in the guy's things. So was Captain Knauer like the worst game manager of all time?
I know.
Would he just throw it on every down?
It's for a thing that's so meticulously like laid out. The fact that it's like, oh, they got the ball back again after like a quick stop. It's like, what's he doing?
The only thing that makes it sort of plausible is that the warden was on Knauer's ass about sucking,
running up the score.
Oh, because do you think he's tried to spread the field and run
he's
like
trying to beat the spread.
Yeah, he wants to beat the spread, and then also Knauer might be that stupid because remember the warden wanted to take it from Knauer and then give it to Paul Crew. But still,
well, I actually found out the answer.
Okay, what's the answer?
Kyle Shanahan was in a time machine and went back to 1974 and fucked the game up. No, seriously. Yeah. That's what ChatGPT told me.
That would be the program 2 is set with the contemporary Niners, and Doc Brown comes to Kyle Shanahan and is like, Kyle, we have to go back to Citrus State Penitentiary.
The Cheerios just texted me. So anyway, I think that's the right answer. That they're trying to run up the score. So instead of just running out the clock and winning by 5, they're trying to play a little hero ball.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen a couple defensive plays, just like maybe 2. Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast are untouchable. This should have been my hottest take. I think I'm okay at this point, 50 years later, if they did a basketball remake.
I was trying to think of a way.
I think it has to be basketball.
What do you replace the yard with? Like, is it like just to be like the longest what? And it's a basketball prison movie.
The longest 3?
Yeah.
But I think it would have my attention if it was whoever, famous A-lister, and it was like, it's basketball, it's convicts against the guards, it's a disgraced NBA star. It's like, okay.
And then, but you flip the races, so rather than them having to get the black guys,
they gotta get the Aryan Brotherhood guys to play.
They get
the foreigners
or the Serbian
The
guys.
Serbian mob.
They gotta get the. It's like, hey man,
it's the Jokic brothers.
Bro,
play
we don't
themselves.
have enough.
Holy shit.
We don't have enough talent, man. The guys from the Eastern Bloc over there, they're over there.
But what is
Nikola Jokic?
How did we get a bunch of Serbian guys and?
How did we get a bunch of guys from Chicago?
That's true. That's true.
It's the same thing.
So they've been playing
Serbian Pipeline.
Yeah, they've been playing EuroLeague. Like, okay,
yeah,
I love it.
That actually would be hilarious.
I thought you were gonna have like a black dude has to go up to the Aryan Brotherhood and be like, "Do you guys want to play hoops against the guards?"
Now, if you're gonna recruit the Aryan Brotherhood, you specifically have to get Ed Norton's character.
He's got a juice again.
He's got that one unstoppable move, and he's already above the rim.
What's sad is we're gonna do American History X for the rewatchables at some point this year, just to do the basketball scene for an hour and a half.
An abomination. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, Byron Mayo, Harley Mays, evil laughing Ramon Raymond, the Hanson brothers, or Philip Baker Hall?
I think the Hanson brothers, honestly. Like having the Hanson brothers be on this football team would be iconic.
Yeah, they could have had 2 extra scenes, especially like if they put them in, all 3 of them in that thing that Burt Reynolds had to go. What was that called? The
hot box.
The hot box. They hotboxed all 3 Hanson brothers. Just one Oscar. Who gets it? Definitely Reynolds.
Definitely Burt, yeah.
Unanswerables.
Oh my God, I got so many. Can I start?
Yeah, go.
What's the score if Crew doesn't throw the third quarter?
Yeah.
It feels like they win by 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't have more points in the first quarter.
I mean, they were basically like they get their asses kicked the first quarter, and then they just start really turning it on in the second. If you look at what they do in the fourth quarter, like imagine if that was their second half game plan, they just smoked those guys. Their defense is playing amazing, frankly.
Like my question, who could the guards actually beat? They literally put the team together
in 4 weeks.
And they beat them. They are the national runners up.
Yeah.
Like who are they playing against?
Obviously not.
I have one more for you.
Yeah.
What was the day after take economy inside of prison? Like, what's prison's version of First Things First leading with? Are they saying, does Crew still have something to prove? Right. Are they mad at the treatment of Bogdansky?
Right.
They're saying that
Did Crew cross the line?
Yeah.
That's coming up next.
There was a point in the second half of the game where it looked like Crew was trying to throw the game.
Right.
Oh, he'd never do that, Ice Pick.
Are they saying that Ice Pick is prison Nick Wright? Like, Crew was carried by Nate and Granny. Coming up next,
Stephen A. Shank.
Prison Nick Wright and Stephen A. Shank.
Prison Nick Wright, just like
I should call Tyler Parker right now and do that show.
I had a couple. Just like, so Crew played he says he played in the NFL for 11 years. And then he said he had an 8-year exile after he played.
Never hadn't picked up a ball in 8 years.
So that puts him in his early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like he's like 35 in this movie, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like
it's
he's...
so hard to tell with guys in the 70s because they all look 40.
He
like the math was a little off.
He immediately lost like a decade off of his face when he shaved.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Did Red from Shawshank just rip off Caretaker? Did Stephen King see this movie and he was like, Red's going to be Caretaker?
I think Prison Fixer is
or is
like
there
a really
always a
reliable,
caretaker character?
Yeah, because it's a pretty common trope. Like anything in this place I can get you.
That could be your prison persona.
Yeah, but
you could be the guy who could get stuff.
But you could also get posters. You can get You think guys in prison are really hard up for posters now?
Transistor radios, AirPods. You'd be like, I got some AirPods.
Can you imagine bringing somebody a poster right now in prison?
Hey, check it out.
It being shanked immediately.
Kathy Ireland swimsuit issue. Lightly used.
We have to figure out Paul Cruz's stats, right? I had 14 for 23, 225 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks, and a fumble.
That QBR, though, took a real hit in the third
Yeah.
quarter.
But the rushing, it's like a Lamar Jackson type of game. I think he's like 17 for 99 rushing.
I think he
maybe
ran.
more.
Maybe so. And the TD.
Like 17 for 119,
Yeah.
something like that. It's like a Lamar. It's like a good November Lamar game.
Yeah. Okay, Stephen A. Shank.
What do you think, Ice Pick?
Ice Pick. Couldn't be stopped.
You're not going to win in the playoffs with a running QB is all I'm saying.
Coming up next, will the warden have Knauer killed tomorrow? Best double feature choice with this movie. Smokey and the Bandit? Just go full Burt charisma?
Yeah, I think a Burt double. I think North Dallas
Slapshot?
40.
North Dallas 40 was mine.
Well, because did we pair that with Slapshot? Yeah.
Because I thought about it, and 70s football movies, now North Dallas 40 and Heaven Can Wait, those are after this one.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite 70s football movies.
Huh.
The three of those movies. Love North Dallas, love Heaven Can Wait. So like one of those movies I would pair with it.
The Indian Red Zawanne Award for what happened the next day. I wrote down crew gets framed for 12 different murders and assaulted and probably sexually assaulted. And some bad things happen to him.
I just had
The warden's like, just ruin this guy.
Parole?
No,
Yeah.
Crew, like you guys, Crew was in jail forever. Crew never got out.
He's dead within probably a couple
like
weeks.
Crew, and that's I didn't get to say during the nitpick. I have such a crazy nitpick, such a crazy time, like accepting that punching the warden once was worth 30 years of your life, right? And then at the same time, Crew doing this, I know he had to not sell out his guys, but Crew's fucked.
Yeah.
Like Crew's done.
He has to escape. Longest yard 2 is they just have to fucking escape.
Yeah, Crew's finished, bro. The warden has threatened him so many different
That would have
times.
been a good
He's never
segment
getting
for
out, yeah.
Prison First Take.
Yeah.
What does Crew do now?
What does Crew do now?
I think he has to escape, Ice Pick.
What do you think? I was trying to figure this out. What kind of season do you think the guards have in the Southeastern?
This sent them in a
Southeastern-
tailspin.
They're done.
Yeah, they went.
That's
3-8.
another topic.
Do we have a
Can the
QB controversy? Does
Well, can the guards recover?
Can the guards recover from
Did
this?
Knauer do enough?
It's like a Penix cousin situation.
What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie? I think some of the memorabilia was in an auction. And I missed it,
Was the game ball in an auction?
Yeah.
I think
the
the
game
crew,
ball, yeah.
crew jersey and the game ball were in there, but the crew jersey would be the piece. I think, right? A non-torn Mean Machine 22, the black one. That's
Yeah.
like
That would be quite a flex if I showed up in the torn Mean Machine jersey.
you're
for
like, I got this.
Rewatchables.
Got this on an auction site. What do you have for Coach Finstock Award for best life lesson?
Oh, I got the Nate speech where he goes, "You spend 14 years in this tank, you begin to understand that you've only got 2 things they can't sweat out of you or beat out of you: your balls."
It's a good one.
I liked when caretakers. One thing that really sets up and kind of undergirds the movie is caretaker explaining why football is so important.
Oh yeah,
Like when he's talking to
and
him,
like because you shave points, that's why
you
we
shave
won't accept.
points. That's why, and that kind of sets Crew's character on like not being able to sell the guys out at the end. That's why, because he kind of learns that lesson inside.
This movie's an A+. Who won the movie? It's clearly Burt Reynolds.
Can I throw one? I'm just throwing it out there for Al Ruddy. A, R.I.P.
Mhm.
B, a producer made The Godfather. He's like, huh. And he just has like the foresight to put Aldrich with Reynolds, this story, telling it the way they tell it, no holds barred, warts and all. I like it. I like the idea that there's like a kind of like the most powerful people in Hollywood were like, this is the kind of movie I want to make.
Yeah. What a career too. Like, you know, obviously he just passed away, but like $1 Million Baby, this movie, like the Godfather movies, it's like long, expansive, amazing career, man.
But it's Burt.
$1 Million Baby will not be on the rewatchables.
Yeah, did we tell you what we did to Jomi?
What?
So Jomi had never seen $1 Million Baby.
Oh no.
He had never seen it.
You told him he had to see it?
I said, Jomi, you gotta watch $1 Million Baby. You got,
So awesome.
like Jomi, watch the movie. It's a boxing movie. It's about the lady that takes up boxing, Clint Eastwood. And he's like, why you guys want me to see it so bad? It's like, what happens in it? I'm like, nothing. He's scarred. Because in no way in life do you think that that's the turn that the movie's going to take. He was watching.
Still to this day, I remember being in the movie theater and like the entire theater just being like, what the fuck?
I saw it in the Grove, and I've never been more unhappy at the Grove. The Grove is the happiest place. I was just unhappy.
Yeah,
An
it's
unhappy
like,
Grove memory.
You sitting there, you're like, man, what the fuck? What the shit? And then you got, 20, 30 minutes of just brutality. Jomi was
That's a really
shocked
fun idea,
and
like
stunned.
a series of making people see movies that they think are going to turn out a certain way.
We did this with Hardball. Like when
that's right. We did
made people watch Hardball that made them
Forgot about
react to G Baby's
that's right.
tragic death in Hardball. Yeah.
Requiem for a Dream. It's hilarious. You got to see it.
You gotta check it out.
Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly, they were great. At the end of this, we're going to, because Craig's not here, but Craig's going to put his take on The Longest Yard at the end of this. So shout out to him. Thanks to Gahao and Jack for producing. We will see you next week for the last episode of 70s Sports Movie Month.